More potential Vince McMahon victims have been identified by attorneys. An NXT star has been called up to the main roster. And we've got the latest on Kazuchika Okada's future. Stay tuned for all the news. So a report coming from Sean Ross Sapp via Fightful Select has stated that even before the federal investigation came to light surrounding Vince McMahon, longtime employees have said they expected McMahon to be charged eventually. The sources stated that if the feds raided Vince and got his phone, they'll almost surely find something. Sapp also stated that at least one person within the industry claims that they know more people that are involved in the situation, and they indicated that if the names are not identified, they'll do it themselves. The report has continued by saying that a longtime WWE employee has said that they don't believe Janelle Grant's lawsuit is the worst of it. In the same report, Fightful confirmed that other potential victims have been contacted by attorneys and media outlets to determine whether they want to take action too. So this is obviously mounting. I think it's unstoppable at this point. Everything is going to come to light. You're being investigated federally, and any victim that is prepared to come forward. And I imagine there will be some that do and some that don't. But you know, I think any victim that comes forward, it's just a case of what else is going to come out, right?
Absolutely. It's a horrific situation, and you know, the sympathies are with everyone that's affected by it. And the federal investigation that's currently ongoing that we discussed yesterday on the news, it is bound to find more information about this and bound to find more, as it says, it's the victims have been identified by attorneys, so there's no doubt there's going to be some liaising between the authorities and the new victims that have been identified. It's just a horrible situation that is constantly changing and constantly moving.
I mean, constantly changing and constantly moving indeed, because Vice News reported yesterday that Vince McMahon signed hush money NDAs behind WWE's back. So all those NDAs that we've been hearing about were done without the knowledge of the company, and he entered into them without the knowledge from anybody at WWE, but secretly signed them on behalf of both himself and the company. The report notes that this may mean that the NDAs are unenforceable. It continues by saying that this is reportedly why the company had to issue revised earnings statements when the high money payments became public, which
so that's dating back.
It's dating back a long time.
Yes, in mid 2022, when Vince initially stepped down from WWE over the hush money payments, that's what those are referring to. When WWE issued this revised earnings statement, there was a lot of discussion as to why that maybe they were unaware of these, because of the reports had indicated they were signed by WWE. Now with Vice News reporting this is the case, that they had no knowledge of these NDAs as far as on an official level, that Vince McMahon signed them secretly without WWE's knowledge. It does put into question what other things have been signed that they don't know.
Well, this is it. It's going to basically, I saw somebody describe it as, TKO are going to have to get in there and they think they need to clean it up, but very slowly they're going to have to realize that it's much more soaked in and steeped in than they can imagine. I think that the investigation is going to really open up a lot of things that this may just be the tip of the iceberg. But the reports also stated that the NDA between McMahon and Janelle Grant would almost certainly be void, because McMahon agreed to pay $3 million but stopped after paying $1 million. The report concludes an NDA cannot be used as a shield to prevent a victim from bringing criminal charges or speaking to investigators. If these women or others desire to speak out publicly or bring civil suits, though, it's not clear that an agreement like the one Grant signed would prevent that.
And that's the thing. There looks to be a lot of issues with the NDAs that have been signed, and in terms of how there's confidentiality. It states in it that there's a confidentiality agreement, but it doesn't specify what that confidentiality relates to.
You often find them used in very specific circumstances. So, like, I've signed NDAs before when I've worked on film projects for outside companies when I was first trying to be a runner and an editing assistant, but that's just so that I don't go hey, here's the whole plot of the film and stuff. But that's all tied into very specific situations. You can't just take an NDA, fit it to your means and go, there you go, that's it, you can't speak. But Jody Shaw, a UC Law San Francisco professor, states to Vice that in their considered opinion, that NDAs such as the one you sent me, the McMahon Grant NDA, are unenforceable under common law contract doctrine. So if this is thrown out and it's revealed that the NDAs are null and void, I think, again, we mentioned this last weekend, but, this is potentially, it's going to bring the company down for good. If this has been so entrenched that people have known about it, going back to what we mentioned just before, that maybe there's a lot more going on, and some people know, and if things don't come out, they're going to bring it out. Like, this has the potential to really, really, really just bring everything down and destroy it. But ultimately, like, if this has been going on, anybody who's allowed this to continue, anybody who's been aware of this and hasn't acted on it, it has to be investigated. It's got to be brought to light, and we've got to find out why and how it was allowed to continue as a culture at the company for so long. And
I imagine if they are null and void, we will have a wave of more information that comes alongside that, and we'll have more updates on how that goes forward, because it looks, and we've referred to there, you know, there could be a civil suit, there could be a criminal suit. It really, these NDAs don't protect. I mean, if they are enforceable, they don't protect from criminal suits. But it looks like they don't protect from civil suits as they currently do just now. So it will be an interesting one to keep an eye on, but it's absolutely, absolutely horrific.
Yeah. Well, moving away from that news over towards SmackDown, we had some call-ups and signing, didn't we?
We did. So we saw Naomi return at the Royal Rumble just last week after her spell in TNA. But it was revealed on SmackDown last night that she has officially joined the SmackDown brand. We saw her celebrate alongside Michin, Shotzi, and Bianca. But they were interrupted by Tiffany Stratton, who revealed that she has officially been called up from NXT and will now be on the SmackDown brand going forward. Now, she had a little thing with Bianca where she sort of got in her face and said that she's got no problem coming for the baddest on SmackDown, and then smacked Michin in the face. So we have...
I'll get you... punch.
Wallop, you know, like Tiffany Stratton is me and Andrew.
This is what I'm going to do to you.
Bang. We saw, me and Andrew were discussing yesterday that Tiffany Stratton is maybe one of the most improved talents that WWE's had in the past year, along with the other names that have been talked about on SmackDown last night, your Carmelo Hayes, your Trick Williams, and your Braun Breakers. It's very exciting to see what she can do on SmackDown. Having her and Bianca maybe be that first feud. I know a lot of people want to see Jade Cargill versus Bianca, but Tiffany Stratton versus Bianca is just as an exciting matchup, maybe for WrestleMania.
We've got Jade and Nia kind of bubbling away initially, and then I think we can move to Jade, like just going wherever the hell she wants. But Jade Bianca, I think it's a one for, you know, down the line.
Yeah.
But it's just exciting to see Tiffany Stratton up. Obviously, we're seeing so many NXT stars just really starting to impress. Sean's doing a hell of a job.
He is. I was just thinking that because, you know, we went for a long period of NXT 2.0 where people...
I mean, God, I remember the black and gold days, and like, but that was when I first started covering wrestling for like a job, and it was like you were spoiled. And then you go through that kind of lull of NXT 2.0, and some people really loved and came to embrace NXT 2.0. I know Ross was a big fan of it.
Yeah, for sure.
But initially it was very rocky going. And they've sort of climbed their way out of that into like an all-new identity, I guess, but they've kept a lot of the polish that 2.0 brought.
That's the thing, yeah. And it also feels like a lot of the talent that are coming up from NXT right now feel like stars. Yeah. Like, it's for a while they were coming up and maybe just getting lost in the shuffle for a little bit, but now they're coming up. Tiffany Stratton felt like an absolute star at the Royal Rumble. Braun Breaker felt like a star at the Royal Rumble. You know, you've got all these talents. Trick Williams was over as anything the other week. All these guys getting shaped in NXT and coming out to the main roster is a good thing. And of course, not to forget Naomi. Great to have Naomi back on SmackDown. I think she just really rounds out that division nicely, especially after her turn in TNA, putting out bangers every week. It was really great fun to see.
So Barry Bloom's client du jour. We've got some news surrounding Kazuchika Okada now to wrap things up. This one comes from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, but the report states that those in AEW are cautiously optimistic about Kazuchika Okada heading to All Elite Wrestling now that his New Japan contract has expired. The report states that the WWE side of thinking of it is that they're not going to match the money that AEW offered him, but Okada will want to come to them because they're WWE. He's reportedly talking with both sides, though, but the report notes that it ultimately depends on what his goals are. If he wanted a better schedule and money, then he's likely going to go to AEW, but if he wants that global exposure and the ability to build his name up, then WWE is probably the better option, the report suggests. Yeah. And at this point, like... we had the very backhanded compliment about AEW from Jade Cargill.
Yeah,
where it was kind of like it set me up for like the big leagues of WWE sort of. I think that when you've got Nick Khan there and we're starting to see a lot more crossover. I mean, Seth Rollins is in a bloody Marvel film.
Well, he's been scrapped.
But he was
in that status.
He was there.
Yeah.
He was on set. He's probably going to be in a deleted scene. But if all had gone well, he would have been in that film, right? And we're going to see more crossover. And WWE as a marketing machine, obviously, you know, they're in every country. They're just So I think that there's merits to both sides. But right now, I see it as AEW. Right?
He feels like a much better fit.
AEW, I think, is a better natural landing spot because Kazuchika Okada is a wrestling machine, right? And whether he's going to work 15-minute matches or, you know, hour-and-a-half matches, he's always going to bring it to the best of his ability. But does anybody really want to see a 10-minute, like, middle of SmackDown Kazuchika Okada match?
The chaos merchant in me does.
I do, simply for the chaos of it all. But I just think AEW gets him more as a wrestler, right?
He will fit so much easier into AEW.
The door to New Japan's kind of half open at all times, so you know that, like, and New Japan, it's quite up in the air right now with, oh God, like what happens if you know, when Okada goes, if we can't, you know, fill that gap quick enough. So it's that potentially leaves the door open for him to come back in a little bit.
I don't know. It's so hard to call, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let us know where you think Okada's going to end up. I'm thinking AEW. You're thinking?
I think it's AEW, but I would love to see him just pop up on Raw and people be like, oh no.
Tell you what, him versus Chad Gable. That'd be a great match. Yeah. Give us that.
Yeah, just let him work with people you wouldn't expect and just put on absolute bangers. Like, give him a whole episode of Raw, 3-hour match.
Him versus Tozawa.
Oh, nice. Absolutely. Just yes. So that is it for your lovely dose of weekend wrestling news, your second dose of weekend wrestling news. Make sure you keep it with us here on the channel because we have tonight, Andrew, or this afternoon, I believe. It might already be out on the channel or it's coming out very soon. Andrew got hands-on with WWE 2K24. He went down to the press event. He's been showing us loads of exciting things as he's been editing. He's been talking to us about all the new features.
He's very excited.
Yeah, he's very excited about it. We're all quite excited about it. So make sure you tune into that if you want to catch up all of the latest with some gameplay in there and everything. We've got reactions, of course, for NXT Vengeance Day tomorrow with Jack and Ross, youtube.com/cultaholic/live. And tomorrow afternoon, me and Fraser have been working away on a bit of a different style of documentary. Throughout like end of December through January, we made something that it's about the concept of Royal Rumbles, you know, why they're the most approachable match and what they mean to people, I guess, and why the Rumble is special. What is it about the Rumble that makes it special? So make sure you tune into that and just share it, promote it, spread far and wide.
Give us some love.
We would love to do more of this stuff, and we hope that you enjoy it as well. So thank you very much. We may be back later on if any more news breaks, but in the meantime, have a lovely weekend. We'll catch you soon.